Hey guys, Erie is here and welcome along to another video. In this video I'm going to be taking you on a journey because sometimes we all have those races where we know it's going to be a right nightmare, and even before we begin there's going to be so many things that are going to get thrown at you along the way, but you've just got to keep your head, suck it up and do your best to grind out a result, and that's exactly the journey and the kind of race I'm going to share with you today. But before we get into that, videos are finally back, I'm glad to say, in their usual Saturday slot, and they're here to stay. And streams, as they were this week, have found their home pretty much organically on a Thursday night. So if you're one of the 44.6% of people who are watching my content but aren't subscribed, please do consider going ahead and hitting that subscribe button now. And make sure to click that bell icon next to it as well so you get notification every time I publish a video or I go live. Thank you guys, it really helps me out. So here we are in pre-race practice, which is where I normally start before I do any race. But what I've done here beforehand is actually watched that ghost up in front that you can see there. What I've done is I've just gone in there and noted the gearing and the braking points and the turning points, and actually put that into some sort of Word document, but you don't have to do it in Word document. You can make notes anywhere, whether it be on your phone or a bit of paper. The main thing is you've got something to refer to. And armed with that information, I'm going to go and try and put in my fastest lap here. So coming down to turn number 1, braking at the 3 board, coming all the way down to first gear, just being very patient on the throttle, trying to avoid any oversteer. Down to turn number 2, brake, turning late here for a late apex and down to second gear. It's a bit of a theme around here at Laguna Seca. Turn number 3, nice light lift, slight bit of braking to get the car turned in, and then we're away here before the big braking zone at the end of this straight. 250 metres is where you want to brake there, and then down to second, an early shift up to third before coming over the crest, braking just at the end of the shadow into third, and then just making sure you do not end up in the gravel on the right. So the corkscrew now, just after the 4 board, you want to start braking all the way down to first, early change up to second to limit the wheel spin, and then just it takes forever around this corner, but nice slow and steady round here so that we can get to the penultimate corner, which we take in third gear, and then as we come towards the final corner, looking for the 3 board, braking there down to first, get it straightened up as soon as possible so you can get on the power as quickly as possible, and it's a run down to the line. And after all that, my best time was a 1:20.472, which is about 1.8 seconds off the ghost lap of a 1:18.778. So that's how I knew I was going to have problems here. I was off the pace, being about 1.5 seconds outside the top 10 over quite a short lap. So ideally I would have been around about a second off, that's where I want to be, but I didn't have any more time to do any more laps because I checked my SR and I remembered that my DR was shot after a horrendous few races in the previous round. So I had to jump out of here, get into the Group 2 cars, and at a different track at the Nürburgring to do a few races to try and salvage my driver rating. So race number 1, we got a second behind Jev, aka Adventure Racing. Make sure you go give him some love on his channel if you haven't already. Race number 2, we managed to get ourselves a win, which was always quite a nice surprise, to be honest with you. I wasn't expecting that. And third race, we got ourselves a third. So we got on each step of the podium with these 3 results, which was nice, but more importantly, after those 3 races, our SR was back up to where it needed to be, and we could move on, despite that short interruption, which took about an hour to fix, onto the session itself. So you would have seen there as the lobby was revealed that I was actually driver number 17 for this one. There was some pretty quick drivers in here. Ollie was in here too. So the game wasn't expecting too much from me here. And to be honest, with the disjointed prep that I've just shown, I wasn't expecting much from us either. I needed to get my head down here, as I've said in the intro, suck it up and just get on with it. So there were 269 points on offer in this one. That gives you a bit of a flavour of the strength of this lobby that we're in. So not a bad haul at all really. That is if we were to get anywhere near the top half of the table. So to do that, we'd have to start by nailing quali, which we're going to try and do here, and is going to be difficult. As everybody knows, I mess up pretty much every single quali session that I enter, and as always, this session was to consist of 3 runs for me. Attempt number 1 was the trusty banker, just trying to get something on the board here, allowing me to then push for the next couple of times around. But having that in the bank to fall back on was very, very important, and I come across the line to put in a 1 minute 21.075 early on in this session. And on attempt number 2, we were on for a quicker lap as we came through sector 2, 2.5 tenths up in fact. But then I clicked the curb on the final corner, which unsettled the car and then gave me a boatload of oversteer to contend with, and I lost all momentum pretty much, and I come across the line without being able to improve, which was a shame to be honest, because things were looking good. So attempt number 3 then, again up at sector 1. I then lost time in the second sector, not really sure where to be honest, and I only just about improve, but not enough to lift myself off the bottom of the pack here. And surprisingly, we had time for one more run, pretty much a bonus because I wasn't expecting to get that at all, and could absolutely go for it in this one. Nothing really to lose, being in 20th and last place. So, as was the theme, we were up in sector 1, but then coming out from under the bridge, I clipped another curb and round we went, and that was going to be the end of that. As you probably guessed, and probably predicted at the start, it was another subpar performance here in quali for myself. I've really got to work on it here, and as a result, we're starting right at the back for this one. So here we go then, the race is underway, and because I was starting at the back, I was a little bit nervous for this one, and I'll show you what happens when I get nervous. I do this. I just planted the throttle here coming out the final corner, even before the start finish line, and almost spin. I did that once as well actually when I was in a top split race at the Red Bull Ring a couple of months back. Thankfully though, this lobby isn't quite as hard as that one. It's still a tough one, but not quite top split level, and I have a shot to recover as a result. And before we start the recovery, let's just give a nod to the livery creator for this one. So Rico Suavius, thank you so much for the Rory McLaren livery that you did for me. Absolutely brilliant. The amount of compliments I get on this is absolutely insane. So definitely up there with one of the best that I've had. So thank you very, very much. Let's introduce the race as well. So the strategy on this one is that I started on mediums. So there was a requirement for the mediums in this one, so I thought I'd get them out the way early, especially considering as obviously we're at the back. It's always worth starting on the harder compound if you're at or near the back, and the reason for this is that you don't want to be in traffic with the softer compound wasting them, because you're just going to ruin your chances being quick. So what we're going to do is go on the mediums until the end of lap number 6, and then we're going to go onto the softs till the end. So the aim at this stage of the race is just to stay consistent really, stay on the black stuff and get to the first set of pit stops. Then once we've got that phase over, we can take it from there. Moving ahead slightly here to the end of lap number 2, keep your eyes up ahead there. The German is going to dive into the pits. It's only lap number 2 and he's diving into the pits, so it's going to be a long slog for him on those tyres, unless of course he's doing a 2-stopper, which we'll find out whether he does later on as the race unfolds. Either way though, we're up to 19th as a result and finally off the bottom. Moving ahead now to lap number 3, just coming up towards the corkscrew and the yellows are out. You're going to see here the Brit go round in that Audi. To be fair to him, it's a pretty tough car to drive. I would have been round many times in that myself as well. So we're up to 18th now. So just by keeping it on the black stuff, as I mentioned earlier on, we've managed to take 2 places. Well, one was probably more down to strategy, but we've certainly at least made up 1 just through trying to be consistent. So we're going to keep cracking on here, keep doing what we're trying to do and get through this first phase of the race. Jumping ahead to our in lap now, lap number 5. Keep your eyes up ahead here. There's contact between the Frenchman and the Brit up in front, and then the Brit just seems to, well, give up really. Not really sure why that is. He went on to then dive into the pits and stay there. I guess it was to save driver rating instead of quitting, but if there's another theory why people do that, please let me know in the comment section down below. But that's what I think people do that for, and it's time for us to enter the pits. So this is our first and only scheduled pit stop in this one. No fuel required, just changing from the mediums to the softs. And as we come out of this massively long pit lane here, we're going to emerge in 18th, around 4-ish seconds behind the car in front. And with phase 1 done, we can now move to phase 2, which is going to consist of, well, just being consistent really, taking care of these tyres because we've got to go to the end, and just trying to remain as fast as possible but within our limits. What we will see is people starting to come in and see where the field shakes out. But if I bin it or do anything silly, then we won't have a shot. So first things first, stay consistent, stay in control. Fast forwarding to the end of lap number 6 here, as you can see the other drivers are starting to pit now, and we're going to be up to 17th as a result. But that doesn't change anything for us. The mission is going to remain the same. Stay clean, stay consistent, and we'll see what that approach brings us come the end. I then went on to put in for the next 7 laps all 1 minute 21s, all within half a second of one another. No issues, no spins, no trips to the gravel, nothing like that, and as a result we have ended up on the back of this group here battling for 13th. Keep your eye up in front here as the Brit is going to peel off and get off his softs there, which is going to promote us to 16th. I know it says on the Delta there we're in 15th, but it's in fact 16th. Just let it all kind of get itself together, and we're going to come across the line to complete lap number 14. Yes, you guessed it, another 1 minute 21. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the 2 up in front, because I'm going to pull off here one of my most favourite moves that I've done for a long time. So these guys are battling, losing themselves time. The German goes to the inside, so we're going to go to the outside, knowing that 2 corners later we're going to need the inside. So we're going to go down the outside here. We're alongside. We're outside again here. Fair play to him, he gives us room. And now we've got the inside for the corner here. So we're going to pick our braking point. We're up alongside and we make the move stick. So now we are up to 15th. So as I say, that was one of my most favourite moves of recent memory. I can't believe that I actually pulled that one off, especially around here. It definitely took 2 to tango there, so fair play to the German there for not just running me off. I have a list as long as my arm of drivers who wouldn't have been so respectful, so good job to him. And we're up, as I say, to 15th, which I'm quite happy with, to be quite honest, especially where we started all the way down in 20th. I mean, I know that we had a bit more time in the bank and we made a couple of mistakes in quali, but you know, it really did take the wind out of my sails being all the way down in last place, as it would do pretty much any of us. And as we cross the line to start lap number 15, we put in a 1:23.2, which is understandable considering the battling, but we're now going to look to settle back in. The McLaren up in front, keep your eye on him here, he's going to have an absolutely wild one, and then manage to drop it coming into turn number 3 here, and we're going to go up as a result, obviously, up to 14th, so another place gained. It just goes to show how unforgiving this Laguna Seca track can be. You don't think of it as one of the more treacherous ones. Well, I don't anyway. You normally think of the big boys like the Nürburgring and the Chicane of Death. There you think of those ones as the, you know, more dangerous tracks, but this one, there is hardly any runoff area here, and you're off into the gravel before you know it, and that's the end of that. As I say, we're just going to try and settle back in here and see what we can do in the remainder of this one. A couple of laps later here on lap 18, keep your eye on the NSX here, there's going to be another mistake. He's going to come through here, just get a little bit loose there. He does well to hold it, to be fair, but he's lost all his momentum and we are up the inside. He's going to do his best to hold on to it, coming through the corkscrew, but we've done enough and we managed to make the move stick. So once again, taking advantage of other people's mistakes. And we fast forwarded and we're going to rejoin the action for the final time here on the final lap. As you can see up in front, we've made up ground to the 3 up ahead. We can even see 10th place, and that's not through speed, that's literally just through trying to stay clean and trying to stay consistent. So as you can see there on the right hand side, the lap counter, you know, may not be the quickest times in the world, but they are at least consistent. You can see probably on lap 24 we got a bit of slipstream there of the BMW up in front of the 1 car, we should add, as he goes wide there, so that's probably why we were a bit quicker there. But generally though, we were in the 121s and then we moved to the 122s as the tyres went off. But really happy with this. As I said earlier on, some of these races are just an absolute nightmare, and you know that they are going to be a nightmare before you even turn a wheel, and I knew that this had the potential to be one for me. But the fact that we took it on head on, despite having to go even into the dailies to try and fix our safety rating, which really disrupted our preparation for this one, we've managed to pull out a decent solid result, one that I'm very proud of considering all the adversity we had to deal with. So as we look at our driver rating, once we've had our 13th place confirmed here, we've actually only lost 100 points on that one, which is quite amazing considering, again, how much it took us to get through this one. But the main positive here was the improvement from 80 back to 99 on our safety rating. That's where it needs to stay going forward, and I hope that it will do. But guys, that is going to be the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks again though so much for watching guys, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.